Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloe in Abuja. I have a lot on my plate tonight, so let me quickly get to it, everyone. Let's tell you that the Federal Executive Council has today approved the full implementation of the Stephen Oronsaye panel report to merge some parastatals, agencies and some commissions, while others will be subsumed, scrapped or relocated. The decision was made at the Federal Executive Council meeting chaired by President Bola Tinubu today at a FEC meeting. According to the Special Advisor to the President on Policy Coordination, Ms. Hadiza Bala Usman, she says, this is in line with the need to reduce cost of governance and streamline efficiency across the governance value chain. The FEC also received a report from the Interministerial Panel set up to review the affairs of the National Social Investment Program. The Council further approved the immediate restart of the direct payments to 12 million households, comprising 60 million Nigerians with key provisions. For those of you who did not catch what happened yesterday at the presidential villa, the president seems to be also concerned about the state of the economy and the socio-economic situation of the country, the anger and the hunger in the country, and those who are planning to take to the streets. So he met with some private sector leaders, and I'll be bringing you some soundbite in that conversation. But first, let me serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
The federal government has reiterated its commitment in addressing the incessant epileptic power supply in the southeast region to improve the economy and livelihood of the people. At an event in Enugu, where the Vice President Kashim Shettima was speaking alongside governors of the region and the Minister of Power, which is the launch of the Light Up Nigeria program for the southeast and business roundtable held at the Old Governor's Lodge. The project, which is being executed by the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, is expected to be completed in 4 months.
The MD of Niger Delta Power Holding Company has given us his word that this project will see the light of the day in 4 months.
Nigeria now has new Supreme Court justices, and they were sworn in today at the Supreme Court in Abuja. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Oluka Aderuola, has asked the newly sworn-in justices of the Supreme Court not to allow their ambition to becloud their sense of judgment. He adds that any interaction of the new justices with people of questionable character must be halted forthwith, adding that they allow their conscience to guide them. A group of ABC youth from Ovia Southwest local government area, loyal to Dennis Itahosa, are protesting the results of the governorship primary and are asking the national leadership of the party to cancel the results, as they allege that the conduct did not follow due process. The protesters stage their protest at the Nigerian Union of Journalists NUJ Secretariat in Benin City, the Edo State capital. 7 out of the 24 members of the Zamfara State House of Assembly say they have suspended 16 members of the House who threatened to impeach the Speaker, Honorable Biliamino Moriki, last Thursday. The 7 members, which include the Speaker of the House, accuse the 16 suspended members of breaking into the offices of the clerk and sergeant-at-arms, as well as destroying things at the Assembly complex. They equally approved the immediate dissolution of all House standing committees. Concerned Nigerians in Edo State under the aegis of Edo civil society organizations earlier today converged on the King Square area of Benin City in protest of the ongoing hardship in the country. The group, who also walked around some major streets in the state capital, asked the government to look into the policies that have led to the high cost of living in the country. In Rivers State, a coalition of civil society organizations have dragged the Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the House of Assembly members to court over the defection of lawmakers from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress. The chairman, Rivers Civil Society Organization, Mr. Inefa George Will, told Channels Television that the coalition is asking the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt to interpret Section 109 of the Constitution as to whether the lawmakers should still retain their seats after having defected from the political party that sponsored their election.
There you have it. You've been served with your political roundup story. So let me bring you up to speed. For the lovers of this program who have not yet seen the conversation around the socio-economic situation of the country, especially how the Naira is falling every day, but then there seems to be some succor and rescue is coming. So President Bola Tinubu yesterday met with private sector leaders to discuss the cost of living crisis in the country and efforts to address the problem. Those at a meeting include Africa's richest man, and the owner of Dangote Industries, Aliko Dangote, other industrialists, including Abdulsamad Rabiu, banker Tony Elumelu. The meeting held at the Presidential Villa Abuja, and they were discussing the economy, food security, and the security of the nation. Let me allow you to listen first and foremost to the position and the mind of President Bola Tinubu on the situation of things.
We are not saying that we have all the answers, but we will not be blamed for not to try. We assure Nigerians that we will do our best to get our Marshall Plan in place and fashion out the best economic future for this country.
Those are some of the thinking of President Bola Tinubu. Let me allow you to listen to the businessmen. They are driving the private sector predominantly. What are their thoughts? Take a listen to Dangote and Bua, Abdulsamad Rabiu and Aliko Dangote. Take a listen to both of them.
Some of the issues we discussed, for example, like the foreign exchange rate, which we know has always been the problem for the past 2 or 3 months. We have discussed on how to, bring the foreign exchange, the rate down, because we all know that what is happening in, as regards the foreign exchange is artificial, is manipulative, and thank God, the CBN, is doing quite a lot now.
What we discuss is generally about the economy, food security, security of the nation. We discuss everything in detail. And I think there is the economic, presidential advisory, which has been set up. And I think this will look at all the issues and address them.
Those are the thoughts of the businessmen. But there are governors within that group that are also having had a private sector experience, or the other one that also had the leadership of the central bank. Governor Soludo and Governor Dakwa Abiodun, both of them were also at that meeting. Take a listen to them.
I can show you that all hands are on deck. All governors have resolved to join hands with Mr. President to ensure that we provide the necessary intervention to cushion the effect of what we are going through, whilst we are waiting for the implementation and the evidence of the fiscal and monetary policies that are already in place. So the teaming public should have that confidence that we're not leaving them alone.
It's just been said, it's a tripartite meeting and designed to, put heads together and to think together. They will have one national economy, and it's the responsibility of the 225 million Nigerians to work together to make it great. And we have all the potentials, and we have all that it takes to make Nigeria, get right through these turbulent times and put the economy back on a sustainable.
Those are the thoughts of the governors. But there are major fears, and one of it is the agitation growing in the land every day. Part of it is the threat by the Nigerian Labour Congress to do a 2-day working protest across the nation. But, well, their counterpart in the Trade Union Congress says they are not going to do that. Well, they're calling on the federal government to fix a new minimum wage to tackle the rising cost of living in the country. Since the removal of the fuel subsidy, the cost of living has spiked and inflation figures pushing new highs in Nigeria. The TUC, at a press conference led by the president, Festus Osifo, gave a long list of recommendations to the federal government and said, well, they would not be part of the warning strike that will be led by the NLC. But these are some of their submissions today.
The monetary policy managers should determine the true value of Naira, allowing the official exchange rate to devalue with the black market rate that does not follow market fundamentals is not the right approach. Local and international financial institutions have determined this value to be between 880 Naira to 650 Naira to $1 in July 2023. This can be easily implemented by CBN. We were not part of the process ab initio. We were not part of the agreement ab initio, so there is nothing to opt out from at all.
Well, they said they wouldn't be part of it. So NLC said they will go on with it. We see how all this pans out. But in all of this, one thing that is fundamental is the nation Nigeria, the project Nigeria. How do we move it forward from wherever position it is right now? And in the core, the center of all of that is our constitution, our laws. How much does it empower the state, I mean the government and the people, to be able to take their own lives into their hands and move it forward? So it looks to me that the House of Representatives have taken the gauntlet and they've taken the charge to lead the constitutional amendment process, which they started today at the Transcorp Hilton Abuja, where they held some kind of inclusive engagement with citizens. They call it a citizen engagement on the Constitution Amendment. And they had a lot of conversations around how these can work. Let me allow you to listen to some of the sound bites of that event, especially from some of the speakers who are saying if the Constitution will be amended, these are fundamental areas that need to be looked into. Take a listen.
There might be a number of amendments that have implications for the conduct of the 2027 elections. And the sooner you're over and done with that aspect of the amendment, the easier it is for the Independent National Electoral Commission to better prepare for the 2027 elections. The second reason is that if you don't get over and done with this in good time, the more it drags to the 2027 elections, the more the likelihood that the honorable members and the senators will be looking at every item through a political lens.
The National Assembly has incrementally amended and altered the Constitution since 2010, and several landmark alterations to the Constitution have happened. These are very important and sit against the context of lots of Nigerians who question how this Constitution came about.
Well, let me allow you to take a listen to the Speaker of the House, who in some way tried to lay a background, a foundation on how the House hopes to go about things. Take a listen to this Honorable Speaker of the House of Reps.
The task before the Constitutional Review Committee is profound. The House agenda is ambitious in its scope and encompasses wide-ranging issues pivotal to our national growth. Among these are the devolution of powers, including state policing, enhancement of fiscal federalism through local government autonomy, further decongesting the exclusive legislative list, recognizing and assigning constitutional roles for traditional institutions, and promoting inclusivity, particularly greater gender equity.
All right, now, you have the premise, you have the background. Let's get into it. Well, the person that is leading the cause in the House of Representatives in this constitutional amendment is the Deputy Speaker, who joins us live. Is his first in studio television conversation since becoming the Deputy Speaker. The Honorable Benjamin Okeze Kalu joins us live here in our studio. Thank you so much indeed, Deputy Speaker, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sean, for having me.
Thank you. I know it's been a long day for you.
Yeah.
And this process is beginning. Interestingly, it's a day that the FEC is also making a pronouncement, which is actually profound. But for some of us who would read the news almost in the last, for the past years of different administration, the Yaradua, the Jonathan, the Buhari government had also set out to implement the Oronsaye report. And in fact, the Buhari, the Jonathan government in 2014 also wanted to do this. There was a white paper. This government also set out a white paper, but this has not really happened. But from your own point of view, as a lawmaker, streamlining, cutting cost of governance through the Oronsaye report, what does this mean?
Means that this, first of all, thank you very much for having me. Like you mentioned, this is my first time of being around for interview after becoming a Deputy Speaker. And I also want to thank you for being around today during the engagement that we just had on the Constitution review. Like you rightly pointed out, you mentioned the word cost of running government. It shows that the president, his body language, his determination is that which is dedicated. He's intentional about reducing the cost of running government. If he's not, he will not be looking for that document. And I want to thank him for, because some of the issues mentioned in that report are going to affect, we're going to use them as resource materials for the work we're doing in Constitution review. And we are happy that Mr. President is forward-thinking for him to embrace that report. It means well for Nigeria, especially during this period when we are facing a lot of challenges. To reduce the cost of running government, the need for it cannot be overemphasized.
I mean, it's interesting also that some of your colleagues are also talking about a shift in the style of our system of government, crossing or moving into a parliamentary system of government. It does look like those also who are saying that maybe we should just have one instead of having two national assembly, we should just have one. And it seems that a lot of people are realizing more and more that more money is being spent in running government and supporting those who run government. Are you guys looking at it in that perspective?
The purpose of having a constitution review, which is a product of Section 62 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, is for us to periodically, look at the dynamics in the society, gaps created, and find a way of using legislation to bridge them. And the cornerstone of all legislation, the ground norm, is the Constitution. Why I mention that is that the people owns the Constitution. They determine how they want to be governed. The issue of bicameral legislature, of which I have debated here in the time past, and the benefit of it, cannot be overemphasized as well. But if Nigerians say, this is what we want, the parliament has no right not to give it to them. That is why in the principle of public engagement, which is being projected by democracy and the ethos of democracy, we are creating, in line with the mandate of the committee, which includes receiving proposals from the stakeholders and the citizens of the country, creating platforms for engagement, and also interacting with the Senate and the state houses to be able to design laws that will suit the pulse of our nation. If in the process of doing that, Nigerians are vehement on reducing cost of government to the extent of saying we want single-layer parliament, of course, we will tune into that. And the issue of presidential and which other one did you mention? That
the
parliamentary system, please. It has not gone through second reading yet. So for now, we cannot comment on that. I'm sure there are some members of the House, about 60 of them, who are pushing for that. And I'm sure that a thin line that runs across this is the need to devolve, to decentralize power, to take it from the center that is so strong to the subnational, to the regional, and which means people are longing for true federalism to be in place. If we get to that point where it passes through second reading, definitely it will be among the issues that will be considered by the Constitution Review Committee.
And those who will say, yes, we are that crossroad in our nation, in the life of our people, that everyone that is empowering, that is in government, is to have the thinking about how we need to move our country forward. So I'd like to, as a leader in the House of Reps, how much are you and your colleagues willing to go to show to Nigerians that you are really serious about this cutting cost of governance and being prudent in the manner and the approach in the running of government?
I can assure you, like we call it the People's Parliament, the pulse of the nation determine and decide on what we do. If we find out, just like we did during the COVID, we found out that people were suffering and we needed to intervene, we made certain sacrifices to be able to identify with the people. I can assure you as well we are not hoping that these the crisis we are going through will linger for a very long time, because, you know, when you have sound government policies, it does not end with policy pronouncement. We need to give timeline for the maturation of that particular policy. And Nigerians are passing through a phase now, which is delayed gratification for a greater gain tomorrow. That is the sacrifice we are going through. We don't intend, it is not our, we are not sure it will last for too long. But if it does, it might call for us to make some adjustments. And I can assure you, the members of the 10th National Assembly, both the Senate and the House of Representatives, will be willing to make such adjustments.
Will it be up to the point where people suggest that maybe you and your colleagues cut your salaries and emoluments and allowances by 50% to show leadership by example in showing prudence in government and the manner in which things are run in this country because of the exigency of time?
At the moment,
of this time, right?
At the moment, talking about the salary of the National Assembly is not as much, you know, I've debated this here over and over again. It's not as much as people think. Salary is different from allowance, which is meant to do the jobs that the constituents have sent us to do. Nobody's allowed to touch allowances. It is your salary that belongs to you. Allowances have, you know, subheadings for which they are meant for. If you use it wrongly, when you are retiring it, you will be sanctioned for that. So talking about the salary of the members of National Assembly, it is a far cry from what it's supposed to be. And I can assure you, even if we reduce it by 50% or it will reduce by 80%, it will not really impact, you know, on what we...
The argument is that the Nigerian lawmakers are one of the highest paid in the world, which does not really go in tandem with the economic situation of the country.
I can assure you that based on economic indices at the moment, inflationary rate and all the rest of them, the amount that the members of the National Assembly are receiving cannot actually take them home to do their job in their various constituencies. Considering the cost of transport, considering the cost of running constituency offices, considering the cost of maintaining aides who are supposed to help you achieve what the mandate of that office is, it is not enough. So that is not a discussion that will add value to what the crisis that we are faced with, you know, entails.
But is it possible that you and your colleagues made that commitment
definitely.
Of showing leadership by example?
I can assure you the selflessness of those who are leading the National Assembly now, like I mentioned before. They are willing to, you know, adjust if need be. If that is what is going to help Nigeria move to the next level, why not? And if not, because we did not elect ourselves to be here, we were voted in here by the constituents. And I can assure you, when we feel their pause and the need arises, and we see that through critical analysis that is unbiased, that is what will, you know, block the gap, that it is the right plug for the gaps, we will do that. I can assure you that.
Let's get to the business of constitutional amendment.
Yes.
Now, how much of a work? Because look, there is a lot of misgivings that some Nigerians have. We would think that in the time past, this constitutional amendment process never really give Nigerians the real deal. They've not really been able to get what they demand, because when it gets to the State Assembly, there are accusations that the governors at that level, they take over the process, and because of their powers over the State Assembly, when concurrence is not able, they are not able to get concurrence for the State Assembly, some of these bills die automatically. How different would this one be? How different will the constitutional amendment under the 10th Assembly, or is it going to be business as usual?
I can assure you that it has never been business as usual. If we do comparative analysis from the first alteration up to the 5th alteration, there have been achievements recorded by my predecessors who sat on this particular position, and the value addition those reviews brought to our nation, they are there to speak for themselves. And in such manners, we're expecting that this one as well will add value to the lives of Nigerians, you know, as expected, because there are yearnings, Nigerians have desires. Nigeria, they know where it pinches them. And it is a time for them to bring it up and say, this is what we want you to look at. Nigerians voted for the governors the same way they voted for the members of the House of Representatives. So if we use governors as the tool to truncate the wishes of the people of Nigeria in constitutional amendment, then there is a problem there because you voted for them. So it is high time that all of us, all the citizens, embrace these particular projects and say, this is what we want. Because the preamble of the Constitution said, we, the people of Nigeria, not we, the governors of Nigeria.
Well, Deputy Speaker, the problem has been that has never been a short of ideas or a lack of ideas or agitation from the Nigerian people about what they want. Nigerians have always known what they wanted. But in the process of constitutional amendment, it has always been a group of people, a collegiate, who sit down and ratify. When the National Assembly make their own recommendation, they get concurrence from the State Assembly. But that is where we saw a lot of failures the last time, and which a lot of Nigerians agitated and said, these are not the reflection of the agitation that we saw across the country on very critical issues. And those are the issues that people say, look, if we are going to go the whole hog, how are we sure that this time around it will be reflective of their yearnings?
Let me assure you that the provision of the Constitution that provided for the amendment of the Constitution, like I mentioned to you before, Section 62 of the Constitution, is clear on how to amend Constitution. So if Nigerians are not happy with it, it is also an opportunity for Nigerians to say, you know what, when it comes to concurrence, this is what we want from the state houses of assembly. This is what we want from them. And we want to jettison them on 1, 2, 3, 4 issues bordering on 1, 2, 3, 4, desires of the country. And we want them to be on board on these specific issues. But for us to go outside what has been provided for in our Constitution can only happen through this review process that we are going through now. So I want to encourage Nigerians, if you are not happy with the way the Constitutional amendment, especially as it concerns the involvement of the state houses of assembly, has been structured by the Grundum, it is an opportunity to come on board and say, this is my proposal. This is how we think it should be structured so that the desires of Nigerians captured by the federal legislature, truncated at the state level, that should not happen again. But I want to tell you that Nigerians are currently yearning for thorough independence of the state houses of assembly. Just they are yearning also for the local government, tier of government. If we can secure through our amendment that the state houses of assembly are going to be financially independent, that they can decide how to take the legislation, the direction to take it, we have gone a long way in achieving a lot in that space. But as long as the state houses of assembly are not independent, I can assure you the influence of the governors are going to be there. But I'm sure that the stakeholders in all the states who will come through our civil engagement, who will make their input on what they think should appear in the Constitution, they will also form a formidable force in the advocacy to get the governors who ordinarily controls the state houses of assembly to have a buy-in in those critical areas that you just referred to.
Yeah. So we're due for a break, but there are areas that have been thrown up. Areas including how the president could be summoned to the National Assembly, like we see in the United States democracy, where the president is statutorily mandated to address the nation in the State of the Nation address. Those who say the president should be summoned to address the parliament and the Nigerian people on critical issues. There are those who are proposing and thinking that should happen. There are those who are saying that there should be a transition to a parliamentary system of government. There are those who are proposing a creation of state police. There are those who are saying that the local government tier of government should be very much independent. These are some of the areas I would like you to talk about. But those who are also saying there are propositions within the National Assembly for a creation of 42 states instead of 36. I would like you to explain and tell us if those are in the works, and you tell Nigerians the process in which this constitution will be amended. That's going to be after this break.
No worries.
We'll be right back, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get back to the conversation with the Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Okezie-Kalu, who is spearheading the constitutional amendment process in the House of Reps. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight,
Thank you very much,
Deputy Speaker. Let's get to it. You have focus areas which you want to, the agenda set for this constitutional amendment process. Which are these areas? Can you tell Nigerians?
Yeah, thank you very much. Like the Speaker mentioned today in his speech, we're looking at devolution of powers, which, you know, we'll be making an attempt on that from the Ninth Assembly by taking some items from the exclusive list to the concurrent list. And I'm sure you witnessed in the last amendment how power was sent to the concurrent list to enable states now generate and also distribute, as well as railway and the prison that became correctional services, and how it also went into concurrent list to enable the states play a role there. And so this time we are looking at, you know, advancing that, you know, in the spirit of true federalism.
So states can have their own correctional centers?
Yes.
And also be able to have power over rails within their territory.
Yes. The states are empowered now to, you know, especially those who are, you know, under the national grid, they are empowered now to generate power, distribute around their places. And the same thing with railway. I don't see a reason why most states are not yet domesticating this particular law. We noticed that we made this amendment, but most of the state laws have not captured it. And this is my way of saying that in our appraisal of impact analysis of previous reviews, some states are found wanting, especially those states that have not domesticated these amendments in their various state laws to enable them, you know, adopt what I call regional economic integration policy, where a railway could run around Southwest, you know, increasing trade and exposing, you know, increasing market among the people around there, and other, you know, use of railway lines, and other regions as well. So they are not making use of that.
So would there
also
be,
went to prison.
So, but what do you make of what they call the federal rail lines, the federal expressways, which they say, oh, this belongs to the federal, so we cannot touch it because it's not the state government role, it's not the state government. So are you saying now that by law, rail lines are in the state belongs to the state?
I'm saying by law, states can now go into, you know, building their own railways, and that railways are not only now within the, you know, jurisdiction of the federal government. The ones around your jurisdiction, you have a hand there. It is concurrent. When it's concurrent, it means participation of the federal and the state at the same time. So it's no longer time to say, no, it's not our duty. The federal government has, you know, how to handle it. Now the states are invited, both in maintenance, both in building, both in usage and management. The same thing with the prison, like you mentioned. You know, the congestion in our prisons has been because the states make laws, the people who offend the laws are convicted, but they are pushed to federal prisons. And you find out that the small facilities are not allowing Nigeria to meet up to the global best practices, the number of space for a prisoner. And that is affecting their own right. So with this unbundling of the prison, the correctional services from the, you know, exclusive to the concurrent, states can now go into, you know, correctional services. So that is true now. Yes. So now when you come to this 10th Assembly and the review that we're about to do, we're looking at gender. You remember that before the agenda as well, the devolution of power, so we're looking at state police. We're looking at how do we add value to the security of this nation, which is our primary purpose, the primary purpose of government. And we are looking at this one-layered police service. Is it sufficient? 400,000 policemen, are they adequate? Is there any other thing we can do to make sure that policing is more comprehensive, more thorough, more result-oriented than it has been? And I can assure you, people are tinkering the state policing as one of the options. But It must be fine-tuned to reflect the desires of Nigerians and also to cure their fear that it might become a monster in the hands of the governors if not well structured. We are looking at that. And that is why during public engagement, civil engagement, public hearing, we will get input from Nigerians what they think is the best way to structure some of these ideas that are coming. Gender was one of the issues.
Say police matter will be top on the agenda.
Very much so. Because, as you know, insecurity is a top matter in the country. And all we are doing is to see if we can use legislative intervention to profile a solution to this hydra-headed problem of insecurity. And many believe that state policing might be one of the ways out. I actually sponsored the bill, but it is subject to the committee and the public who will come in and say, we want it, this is how we want it, this is when we want it, or we don't want it. Yeah. And gender is
on this, just before you move there, on this program, maybe in your proposition, it can also be considered, though if Senator Itayana on this program had advocated and said, look, do we really need FRSC? Do we really need NSCDC to stand alone? When we say that we have less than 400,000 police manning and policing almost 225 million people in the country, why are we not adding that number to the police, train FRSC, merge them to the police, and increase the number? And the president had promised that he's going to increase the boots on the ground in terms of the workforce in the police service. Maybe it's a consideration that you can also add to your consideration, to your whatever, because things are getting dynamic day and day, day after day, and we need to also think, do you think that is a way to go?
I can assure you that we're going to get a lot of opinions such as this one when we engage in this public engagement with regards to issues bordering on state police. A lot of argument, debates are going to come, but also I want you to understand that it was high time, or it is high time, that Nigeria streamline the regulations around policing. In Lagos, we have LASMA. In Lagos, we have Neighborhood Watch. In Lagos area, we have Amotekun. You go to Ebonyi, you have Ebubago. You go to other places, you have all these pockets of vigilante groups coming into act because the need is there and they believe that the police is not sufficient. They are trying to bring a self-help mechanism. But if you allow it to be in its multiple dimensions without a streamlined regulation, we might end up creating a monster that will lead to more insecurity than security. So if we have a regulation that is controlled, that we know that what is applicable in the southeast is applicable in northeast, is applicable in northwest and southwest, and that law will guide them, it will make us to have something that we will all be proud of, instead of leaving them, in pockets that they're operating with their own regulation as authored by the state governors. So that's about that on state police. But even if we combine all the names, all the agencies you mentioned now, Nigeria will still not be well policed. That is a fact. Through the state policing, we'll create more jobs. We'll have the real people in the various local government, various community, policing their corners, nooks and crannies. Remember, if I'm trained in Sokoto and I'm sent to go and police Bayelsa, water, riverine area, it will be a difficult task. The same, if I'm trained in Bayelsa and I'm sent to police in Sokoto, it will be difficult for me to do that. But if we bring it down, first layer, second layer policing, I can assure you we will have thorough policing. But in doing that, we must make sure that we maintain global best practices in line with the comparative analysis of those who have succeeded in having these operational in their country, like America is doing well with regard to multiple layer policing. And then another thing that will be coming up that is also on the front burner is this issue of gender, mainstreaming, of more participation of women in politics. And it did not pass through the last time. We are beginning to look at it again because it has come back again. And we are now saying, let us look at why it did not pass through. Because the truth is that the women have a role to play in government.
Because part of the proposition at the time is that there are 3 seats for a state in the Senate. And the proposition was that out of the 3 seats, 1 should be a woman seat. Is that the same way and manner in which the proposition is coming now?
Those are some of the things we are going to look at. No matter the manner in which the proposition comes, we are going to see what is workable, especially in line with what the president just did now, cutting down the cost of government. Are we going to make a law that will defeat the essence of what he's trying to achieve through this Oronsaye's report, through the yearning of Nigerians to cut down cost of running government? There must be a way out, and that is the duty of Nigerians and the duty of this Constitution Review Committee to deep dive on the best way of increasing no matter how you look at it, we are poorly disposed to women participation in politics, and we must do something about that.
Was there a proposition that the president could be summoned, proposing a law where the president occasionally have to come to parliament, apart from budget presentation?
Yeah, that was part of the bill that was not assented to by the former president, and it is back again. And they are saying we need to hear more from our president. We need to engage more with our president, not only during budget presentation.
So it will be some kind of the State of the Nation address like we see in the United States.
Yes,
where statutorily the president is has the obligation to face the American people and speak to them. So that also is back on the front burner.
Yeah, it's back on the front burner. And I can assure you, Sheung, that is among the principles of democracy. Engagement with the people. And if the parliament, which is the people's house, want to engage with either the governor of the state or the president, I don't see anything wrong with that. It is not investigative hearing. They are two different things. Remember last time I presided over the sectorial engagement that had the CBN governor, that had the Minister of Finance, that had the budget and planning, and as well as chairman of FIRS. And nobody insulted them. Nobody harassed them. Nobody investigated them. But the parliamentarians were decent with their questions, which was a product of the inquiry from their constituents. So once in a while, if there are dusty areas that Nigerians need to hear, what is the position of Mr. President or the governor of the state, there is nothing wrong in once in a while coming in and say, fellow Nigerians, this is what we are doing, this is how we are going about it, this is what we are doing, especially if the information ministry is not dishing out those information as at when due to the public. Then the president must step in and then push it across.
Because, for example, in the present state that we are in the country today, what got out that there was a contractor that was given 30% of the contract to bring electric buses into the country. Since last year, that contractor was paid only 30%. And similar way in which government contract works, you pay a certain amount, you forget that that contract ever existed, and that's how you're going to die. Promising Nigerians that palliatives for removal of subsidy is going to be in place, that electric bus concept is almost there because government has not paid to get those buses in. The issues of whether or not the president should be speaking to Nigerians, not only on May 29 or October 1st or on the Democracy Day, that those who are saying that in this present time, that the president should be giving regular update to the nation because they are going through hard times. These are some of the issues, and perhaps maybe that will answer that question on the minds of Nigerians that they regularly need their president to talk to them, isn't it?
I can assure you that the president that we have now is confident in himself. I just watch him now, state his position and the crisis that we are having.
He was speaking to a group of people.
He was speaking to a group. I can assure you.
It's different when the president says, look, in 2 weeks, I will come back to you. This is what I'm going to do. In 2 weeks, whatever the outcome, I will. Because when you are in a dire situation.
This president will not have a problem with that. He's a true Democrat.
Because when the people
he rose by
in a dire situation,
yes,
you need their leader to consistently engage them.
And I can assure you that if we have this as a piece of our legislation in the grundum, and it is there, the man who believes in constitutional democracy, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who rose through the ranks, who understands legislature, who has been in the executive, who has been in the private sector, I can assure Nigerians that he will not have a problem with engaging
It's walking the talk, actually.
I can assure you that. I'm very confident in that.
Deputy Speaker, are there plans of opposition to increase the state to 42?
We have not received such propositions yet, but whether it will come is what I cannot predict now. But if it comes, it is the right of the constituents to tell their representative to go in a particular manner. If it comes, the House will look into it, the committee will look into it. But remember, equity is also needed. Fairness is also needed. So if you want to balance the nation, to make sure that all geopolitical zones are at par with each other, if anyone comes with that, it won't be denying him that right. So we might be looking into it.
Deputy Speaker, let's wrap up the conversation. Give Nigerians an understanding of how they can be part of this process. Can you summarize in 30 seconds how this process will start, the old gamut? How long will it take? When can we be expecting that in our doorstep or around us in our community, we will be seeing the constitutional amendment process getting to us?
Thank you very much, Shane, for that question. Over the years, over previous alteration efforts, it lingered from beginning of a section to almost the time of the election, the expiration of a tenure of a president. We have changed our dynamics. We are saying now we have 24 months to finish the work. It's not
2 years.
Yes, 2 years. It's not aeronautic science. If what we have set our roadmap, and maybe next engagement, because I'm going to be engaging with you more, I'm going to be engaging with Nigerians more, I will give you our timetable. For example, right from today, after the inauguration, a call for memoranda is now sent out. You'll be seeing it on newspaper, you'll be seeing it on TV. We'll start collecting that. And after collecting that, we'll go into deep diving to look at it and then call for public hearing on them and progress from that. But I want to assure Nigerians that beyond what has been done before, we have created platforms that will increase the engagement, because this is what it's all about. Nigerians, we the people element, they want to engage more. So the website that is on your screen is www.hccr.gov.ng. It has never happened before, but because we are going digitized, we want Nigerians to go there from time to time to track what we are doing on each of the memorandum received, what we have done about what was turned back the last time, what we are doing at the moment, the stage where we are, and beyond that, we are going to use podcasts, informative podcasts, interactive radio shows, and virtual and physical town hall. We are going to be on the move. We are going to go to states. We are going to go to local government. We'll make sure it comes closer to you. We're going to use a new innovation we've just started, which we call electronic town hall, where we can sit in Abuja and we engage with constituents through their phones, through the town hall places that we are putting systems like computers to be able to talk with them. So we are using all these forms to make sure that nobody will claim my voice was
anyone
not
can go to this website now and submit their memorandum. They will see the timetable as when it's published. You see all the outline and how you can submit your memoranda. Can you also, please, for the sake of Nigerians, the FAQs, the frequently asked questions, the manner in which people can go about writing their memorandum, the templates to write a memorandum, if you can put it there, so it's easy for Nigerians to send in.
This is a very good take-home. We're going to put a sample of what a memorandum is supposed to look like so that people can copy. We can even give you a soft copy which you can just take and then fill it up and send in like a form. And one thing that is beautiful about this website is that it's interactive. We have somebody sitting, a group of people sitting to receive your questions. So when you queue in what you want to queue in, you receive answer within 24 hours. So we want it to be as engaging as possible. And we want the youths to participate in this. Let us know how they want us to, tailor the Constitution for them to own the Constitution and all the other demographic as well. I'm sure that with this engagement, we're going to have a Constitution that is better than what it has been, because it will be the people's own Constitution.
It looks to me that the Green Chamber is actually a bit more digitized than your senior brothers and sisters in the
I wouldn't say that until you hear from them.
Let's see what they are up to. But for what we have seen today, it looks like you've gone digital, different from what we've seen in the past assembly. But I wish you the very best. Most importantly, is that the National Assembly must be the National Assembly of the Nigerian people, and people must be able to react and interact to all of these processes. Thank you so much indeed. Deputy Speaker
Thank you very much.
of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Okezie Kalu. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimberley. God bless Nigeria.